Hey everybody, it's Frozen and thanks for joining me. Today I wanted to start talking about my post-AT thru hike gear. What worked for me? What didn't work for me? What things would I change if I had to do it all over again? So first up, we're going to be talking about clothing. Now, keep in mind my start date was February 23rd at Amicalola Falls State Park going northbound to Mount Katahdin in Maine. I ended my journey on July 3rd. So February 23rd to July 3rd, that's the weather and time frame that we are talking about. So first up, let me show you what I always had on. All right, so first up, we're going to talk about the upper layer. This is pretty much just your shirt. I started with a Champion Vapor, which is a lightweight to mid-weight shirt, and then I upgraded sometime around Virginia to a little bit lighter weight shirt, the Outdoor Research Echo. This thing lasted the rest of the thru hike and got a small tear on a seam around my shoulder, but no big deal. It still lasted the whole thru hike. Next up, my buff. I ended up losing this, purchased another one before the 100-mile wilderness. This worked out great. I love these things. I wore it as a bandana most of the time after my hair started getting crazy. When I started, I wore it like a pirate's cap. And in cold weather, I would just put it on, spin it around, and pull it down over my ears and wear it like a beanie. Works out perfect and has a lot of extra uses. All right, shorts. I wore shorts the entire way up and sometimes paired them with some wind pants, which we're going to get to. So these are the Patagonia Strider shorts. These are freaking amazing. They lasted the entire way, and the only thing that I didn't like about it was this zippered pocket on the back because it dug into my pack and caused a little bit of wear and tear in the Dyneema, which we're going to get to all that in the pack review in a couple weeks. So Patagonia Strider shorts, absolutely love them. I like wearing shorts better. They got a liner in it, and it just makes more airflow for me. I don't like wearing long pants. For socks, I took 2 pairs of Darn Tough Vermont quarter cushion socks. These handled perfect. They dried out really fast. I hung them on my pack if I needed to dry them out. They're really cushiony. They're comfortable. Couldn't really ask for anything in a sock. These lasted almost the entire way, which is really surprising to me. I did have them replaced at Shaw's Hiker Hostel right before the 100-mile wilderness. They did the Darn Tough exchange program, which if you're not familiar with that, what you do is you take your socks into most outfitters along the trail. You got to kind of check beforehand, but most outfitters along the trail will be a Darn Tough exchange program supporter. So you give them your old socks, they give you a new pair. They might have you fill out a form, they might not, but basically you get socks for free, lifetime warranty, and they were great. That's what I recommend. As far as shoes go, I started with a pair of Lone Peak 4s. They got completely destroyed and destroyed my feet, so I don't recommend those shoes. I know a lot of people on the trail were wearing them and a lot of them had success, but I just didn't. Shoes are one of those things that I can't tell you what to buy. You got to try them for yourselves. But what did work for me were these Altra Olympus. Now I had 5 pairs of these shoes, a little high of a number, definitely not the most durable shoe, but it definitely was super comfortable on my feet. And I was a big fan of these until later in the trail where I started rolling my ankle a lot, and I think that was due to the high stack height. I mean, look at that. That's a lot of cushion in those shoes. Now, a lot of these shoes I didn't even have to purchase. It was through Altra's warranty. They have a 300 to 500 mile warranty on pretty much all of their shoes. So I ended up getting 3 pairs of shoes for free out there. And recently, these shoes got warranted, and I'm trying a pair of Altra Timps. I think that's going to be the next shoe that I'm probably going to wear. Hopefully they work out. And then on top of those, just to keep rocks and sticks out, a pair of Dirty Girl Gators, and they worked out fantastic. These are my Smartwool 250 base layers. They're really comfortable, really warm, and they did a very good job on keeping me warm. Now, I didn't hike in these most of the time. I think there might have been 1 or 2 days where I had to hike in them because it was so cold, but for the most part, I just use these as an extra sleep layer. And for the most part, I think this is probably what you're gonna need. The thing with me is I do very extensive clothing tests while I was out on my other trips before the AT, so make sure you test your gear and don't just take my word for it. But these are what worked for me as far as a base layer. I have a Melanzana micro grid hoodie. I wore this a lot. It was really, really comfortable. I wore this to hike in a lot when it got a little colder. And I carried this with me the entire trip just because of how comfortable and how versatile this layer is. I did not carry a down jacket after Virginia on April 4th. I just carried this for my insulative layer and I was completely satisfied. Speaking of down jacket, this is what I started with. It's a Montbell Alpine Light down jacket, and paired up with a hoodie and maybe even throw a rain jacket over top of this, it got me through some very, very cold evenings and sometimes even hiking in. So Alpine Light down jacket. Take a look at the down fill when you look for your down jacket. I wouldn't go any less than, I forget what this is, 3 ounces or something maybe. But I wouldn't go any less than that. Check the description box for more info, because the amount of down fill is the amount of warmth the down jacket is going to produce for you. So I have a lot of circulation issues, especially in my feet. So I did opt to bring a pair of 30-degree down booties. These are Goose Feet gear. You just put these over your sleep socks and these worked fantastic. You may not need these, but for me, like I said, my feet get extremely cold and a little bit uncomfortable sometimes at night, and my quilt just doesn't handle my feet properly. So a little bit extra insulation on my feet. I opted for some comfort gear. Now, a lot of people were sleeping in the hiking gear that they, just use during the day. Some of the times it got wet. I don't like to sleep in wet clothing, so what I opted for was a pair of sleep socks. They're just a smart wool liner, really light. I opted for a pair of running shorts. These are also Champion Vapor shorts. They worked out great. And just a Champion shirt that I picked up at Target for like $8 or something like that. And those worked great. I liked the ability to be dry no matter what happened during the day. And I also used that for my town gear / laundry day, or whatever you want to call it. All right, a little bit extra insulative layers. I have a pair of possum down gloves. These are so warm. It's hard to tell you just how warm something this thin and light can possibly be. I think they weigh maybe an ounce each or something, maybe an ounce together. These lasted up until Virginia, where I just swapped them out because I didn't need them anymore. They really don't have any signs of wear and tear except around some of the fingers, where I think they're a little bit short. So if you're going to get these, make sure you size up. You can see that they are a little bit short. You can't. But yeah, this is where they started breaking. They're really delicate, but even when they get wet, they do still offer some insulative properties. So a pair of gloves. Also a Z-Packs fleece hat. This thing is just the perfect hat. This is all I needed on top of my buff to stay warm with the hoodie. Let's start talking about rain gear, because this is where I think if I had to do it again, I would kind of tweak my system a little bit. So on top of the gloves in the rain, sometimes the weather for rainy days, especially at the beginning, was miserable. We're talking 33 degrees, just enough where it wouldn't snow on you, but it would rain, it would hail, the wind was blowing. It was hard. It was really hard to stay warm on those days, because you didn't want your stuff to get wet to sleep in, so you couldn't really wear your down jacket or any kind of down out there. So on top of the possum down gloves, which can get wet and still offer some insulation for you, I wore a pair of Z-Packs Rain Mix. They're Z-Packs Vertice or Vertis, whatever you want to call it. Now, I did not like these, because what I found is after about an hour in the rain, these would just soak through. Now, I don't know for a fact that water wasn't just running down my arm or something like that. And I did have my rain jacket over top of these, so I don't know. Maybe they run down, or you're trudging along, you're lifting your trekking poles up, and maybe the water's running back down under your skin and then into the glove. But I just feel like these wetted out, and if I had to do it again, I would definitely look at some kind of real rain mitts, or perhaps, to be on the cheap side, maybe even like dishwashing gloves would work. But definitely look into that. That's something that I obviously struggled with. Something that I really loved, though, was the Z-Packs Rain Kilt. This just goes around your waist, and it keeps all those wet, dewy mornings and rain and wind out of your shorts, which I don't like wearing long pants. I don't like wearing rain pants. I think this is completely adequate, but I did struggle with the length of my Outdoor Research Helium 2 rain jacket. And I think if I had to do the AT again, that I would opt for probably a non-breathable rain jacket, something that I knew would keep me dry, because when I wear a rain jacket, I don't really care that I'm sweating. I don't sweat all that much, but I want to stay dry. And there were days where I wore my full rain jacket and rain kilt, and I was just completely soaked by the end of the day. It was kind of ridiculous. Like, why did I even bother wearing this stuff? I don't know what happened to this thing. The only thing I can think of is maybe my belt on my pack was pushing this up. Maybe I didn't have my pack high enough. That could be a very real possibility, and it was just soaking, you know, my clothes and then down into my shorts. So anyway, Helium 2 rain jacket. Now, the MVP for my clothes, other than the Melizana microgrid hoodie, were these $15 pair of ballerina pants. Now, I use these as wind pants, and I also coated them with a DWR, a durable water repellent, before I left for the trail. These lasted the entire time. These were amazing as far as keeping heat in. Now, you can find these pants, if you want to get them for yourself, in the description box below. I'll provide a link. They're just called body wrapper pants. And seriously, these added a good 10 to 15 degrees of warmth and kept the wind out on those terrible windy days. They were just great. I also use these sometimes in my hammock, which was my shelter system along the AT, as kind of an extra insulative layer when I sent back my base layers, and it worked out fantastic. The last piece of clothing I had was this bug net. Now, I got this from a trail angel named Fresh Ground. He just happened to have a bug net, and I picked this up in Vermont. I'd say if you want to get a head net, go with whatever the cheapest thing that you can find is, because it's a head net. It's just some mesh sewn together. You don't need to spend a lot of money. Little bug net, it will make your life a heck of a lot easier. I've never hiked with one of these before until now, and man, I don't know if I could have done it without this head net. So definitely pick up a head net. Going back to my winter gear. My winter gear saw temperatures as low as 16 degrees Fahrenheit, probably a little lower with the wind chill. And I feel like I had that system dialed in pretty good. I didn't have any problems sleeping with a 20-degree hammock gear top and bottom quilt, top and under quilt, I should say. And like I said, the only thing I would change would be some things in my rain gear, which we already talked about. For your hike, I recommend that you go out and test your gear fully. Now, in early April, I think it was April 3rd or 4th, I sent all my cold weather gear back with my now fiance. That included my down jacket, my base layers, my gloves, my fleece hat. I kept the buff just so I could have some extra, you know, insulation on my head, and I really like the buff. But, you know, that was probably a little too early for me to send that back, but I got lucky. I got lucky with the weather, and it worked out for me. There were 2 nights on the trail that I had to sleep in these 2 extra layers, the wind pants and the hoodie, just to stay warm in my quilt, which was a 40-degree quilt and a 30-degree under quilt, but it was fine. I never had a night where I was super uncomfortable unless the wind was really, really blowing hard. And I think if I had to do it again, we'll talk about this later in my shelter system, is I would get an under quilt protector or perhaps a bag liner. So anyway, that was the clothing system. I hope that helps somebody. And really, I think I nailed my clothes. I really didn't have too many issues, like I said, except for some minor tweaks with my rain gear. Anyway, I'm Frozen, and thanks for watching.